All right, welcome back to the unofficial guide to vMix. Today we're talking about animated titles, how to create animated titles, how to use them with vMix, and how to customize your own as well using the GT Title Editor application. Let's get started. Now that right there was an animated title. It's built into the multi-view of this layout right here. Let's do that again just to show everybody how quickly those can automatically transition. So we transition from full screen to a multi-view, which has an animated title built in from GT Title Editor. That's not a custom title, that's one built into vMix. So let's start by looking at the ones built into vMix, and then we will create our own. So by clicking the Add Input button, we can go to Titles, and any of these titles that have the GT diamond at the top left are made with the GT Title Editor, meaning they are animated. So if we click this green one here, it automatically opens up the title editor where I'll put my name and I'll just put Streaming Officer, and it automatically adds the information into that title. So the cool thing about GT Title Editor is you have the ability to transition in and transition out every effect. So if we go ahead and put this on channel 4, that is automatically, basically because overlay 4, we looked at the overlays here, is set to cut, it's automatically cutting and starting the overlay. But if we already have it in, we can transition it out as well. So we can transition it in and we can transition it out. And so those are animations that we're going to be able to build in the GT Title Editor. So let's open up the GT Title Editor, and I'm going to start a new project here. And when you start a project, it's available at 1080 by default, but of course you can do 4K or 720. Let's do 1080. Now on the left-hand side, we have all of our objects that we can add, which become part of the layers on the right. So on the right-hand side, we're able to look at all of our layers. On the left-hand side, we can add all of our objects. The top bars are generally reserved for editing and manipulating the objects. So let's add a rectangle that we want to do. I'm going to do kind of a long and narrow one. And let's center it. You can see that there's these little center guides that are available. And so let's bring it down the center line and put it there. Now, any object you can right-click and you can edit the fill, for example. So we could change this to maybe a darker color. We can send it backward or forward, just like a PowerPoint where you would stack layers together. And we can align it specifically right in the center, for example, and do a few other docking techniques as well. But in the fill area, I'm going to do a gradient. Kind of is an easy way to make this a little bit more colorful by doing a gradient like this, where it's just a little different color. You can add multiple stops and you can change the angle and do different things with this gradient, but we're going to go ahead and use this existing gradient. And I'm going to put an 8-layer stroke around this. I'll do a white stroke around this, a solid white stroke around our rectangle. And let's do 8. There we go. So now we've got a cool little title going. And we're going to want to animate it in a moment, but let's take a look at the different styles. So you can just quickly, if you don't want to do your own style, choose a bunch of different styles. In fact, this one here is really close to what we were just working with. So let's use that instead. You can basically choose from all of these different already set up styles. Now the formatting is if you're very particular about how you want things to be, you can really get into the details of the size to the pixel of how you want your rectangles and different devices to be set up. Control the opacity, left and Y, all of this stuff. I'm going to try to go quickly on this. And so now when we go to animations, we have the ability to do an animation in and an animation out. So, for example, let's say we want to fade this animation in when we transition in. Now, if we hit the transition button, it fades in, and it fades in at a 0 delay with 1 second of time. Let's do half a second. So it's going to go in a little faster, and it fades right in. That's cool. That's all we really needed. Now, let's add some text into this. So we'll put a text box here, and we'll just put first name, and we'll go ahead into the home area here and we'll center the text. We'll make it a decent amount bigger, and let's make it white. We can, of course, change the font and other things as well, but I don't think there's really necessary to be messing around with all of that. We'll change it to this. Okay. Now, we already animated the background, so let's animate this foreground. You can see here that the text block is right here, so we can choose each of these to animate them separately. So we already are fading in the background. So let's have this reveal itself after 1 second, and we'll reveal from the center x-axis. So let's go ahead and play that. Okay, not bad, right? So let's do a little bit more delay on that so that it comes in just a little later. Oh, you know what? So we have text block 1, and we have the rectangle. So the rectangle has no delay, and we want to do a 1 second delay for the duration. You have to hit enter to make that happen. There we go. 1 second, it flies in. So let's just do one more shape. And we're doing these all in the same layer. So we'll do a shape here at the bottom. I'm going to put it underneath the other rectangle. And this shape, let's kind of make it, yeah, that's fine. We'll do, let's make this shape white. Let's just make it white. And in the style for the opacity, let's just keep it full. And let's put some text on top of this for our lower third. And inside here, we'll call this title of person. Now, of course, there's tons of different ways to use these titles, but we're just going to bump it up here, do it like that. All right, great. Now, let's look at our transition currently. So the top is transitioned. Now let's look at this second rectangle here. So this rectangle, we'll want to animate it. We'll have it fade in after 2 seconds. The duration of 1. Let's take a look at that. Name of person, half a title. Now, the other thing too is usually half a second is fine on the delay. So let's do 0.5. There we go. This rectangle coming in, let's just do 1.5. And then the second text block will also do a reveal at 1.5 as well. Duration of 1. There we go. First name, last name, or title of person. Now, I guess that would be first and last name, but you guys get the picture. Now, on the transition out, a lot of times I'll just select the whole first layer. So the whole thing transitions out, not just any one specific thing. No need to overcomplicate it. And what we'll do is we'll just fly out to the right direction, and no delay really on that. I mean, we could put a 2 second duration, which would make it kind of slow, but let's take a look at the transition out. So that's transition in, and then it's going to transition out. Now, I would imagine we should reverse that transition out. So transition in. Oop, not exactly what we want. Let's have it go that direction. Let's do the transition out. That's what we want. Okay. So now we can save this quickly into documents, and we'll just call this new title. And now we can add it to vMix. So we can add a title, and we can essentially find it right here in recent. There is our custom title. So now we can put Paul Richards in here. We can always customize it to, well, I guess this would be Paul Richards, and this would be Chief Streamer. And let's take a look. Whoop, just like we designed it. Now we might want to put some more, change it a little more, but for today, that's what I wanted to show. Now we probably want to have it transition out a little slower, But that is how you use GT Title Editor and titles. Now, one other tip I wanted to give you guys regarding the title editor is down here, you have the ability to add different names. So if I add Michael Luttermoser, producer, and hit plus, I can now switch these names really quickly. So if we're looking at this and we're in the title editor, I can just switch the name in an instant. So if you have a lot of people that you're getting ready to enter, that's a great way to do it. Or you can actually right click. Just go Michael, boom, show them up there. Perfect. And we will transition out. So that is how to use vMix titles, animated titles, how to create your own animated titles, and how to use GT Title Editor from a high level. So I hope that was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any questions about GT Title Editor. It's a great way to add animations into your video productions. Let's get on to the next video.